have you considered being a crime scene investigator? You may have seen them portrayed on some of your favorite TV shows like CSI Miami. Today, we'll learn what they do and what people think of them. What do you think a crime scene investigator does?
They basically go to the scene of the crime and find clues and evidence.
How much do you think a crime scene investigator makes?
Around 70,000, maybe 50.
Describe a typical day for a CSI.
They basically go to the office, wait for any phone calls to see if there's any cases available for them to try to solve.
Not a problem, bye.
How do you think they figure out who the suspects are for a murder?
Little stuff from fingerprints to, I guess, anything they can find in crime scenes.
Do you think there's always evidence found at a crime scene?
Not always, but they are able to look for small details that can lead to a solved case.
What do you think a crime scene investigator does?
Investigate the crime.
How much do you think a crime scene investigator makes?
60,000.
Describe a typical day for a CSI.
Going to a crime scene and trying to find the bad guy.
How do you think they figure out who the suspects are for a murder?
If they have enough evidence.
Do you think there is always evidence found at a crime scene?
No, I don't.
What do you think a crime scene investigator does?
I think a crime scene investigator, they go to a crime scene and collect evidence and try to figure out what happened.
How much do you think a crime scene investigator makes?
Maybe between like $50,000 and $60,000.
Describe a typical day for a CSI.
They come into their office and basically they'll get phone calls from police departments saying that they need to come and investigate a scene that is most likely a crime, and that's what they do.
How do you think they figure out who the suspects are for a murder?
They try to collect any evidence and talk to eyewitnesses, and maybe like if someone left DNA or hair, they try to match it.
So do you think there's always evidence found at a crime scene?
I think there's always some type of evidence left, so yeah.
As you can see, most people have a pretty general idea of what crime scene investigators do. But let's start by breaking down the top 10 myths that surround CSI and crime scene investigators. Let's decipher the truth from the myths.
Delirious out of my mind. I'm delirious out of my mind. I'm delirious.
One myth is that there's some futuristic technology out there that can instantly solve who committed the crime. However, there is no such technology. They can pull up mugshots, photographs, and even find out whose fingerprint is involved, but they can't solve the mystery based just on technology. The next myth in CSI is that evidence can be processed in as low as a month. However, it takes 2 or more months to get evidence processed due to the long waiting list. Number 8 myth people have is that at a crime scene, evidence is found right away, and CSI people have the right to touch the bodies. However, evidence takes a while to collect and can't be found in just any object. Some objects are harder than others to find evidence on, such as blood samples. In clothing, it can be easier depending on the type of material that the clothing consists of. However, with bodies, the CSI investigator is not allowed to move the body or position it out of place in any way due to the tampering of evidence. So the coroner is the only person that can touch the body. People think that the crime scene investigator and the lab scientist are the same person. However, they are totally different professions. Your average crime scene investigator doesn't have a Bachelor of Science degree. However, your lab scientist does. Most are also not sworn-in law enforcement officers, by the way. A myth developed based on CSI shows is that a crime scene is very open and has general access to the public. However, a crime scene has limited access due to the fact that they must maintain the integrity of evidence in the crime scene, which is generally why few people are allowed on the scene of a crime. Now that you've learned what being a crime scene investigator entails, you may want to join the world of solving crime. It may not be as action-packed or as exciting as on television, but it's still a career to consider.